Hello, my name is Parag Dave, and I'm working as an Oracle Financials Lead with Hitachi Vantara. Today, I'm going to demonstrate Oracle Fusion Expense to Pay process with per diem as an example. Assume an employee, Martin Smith, would like to submit an expense report. He logs in into Oracle. He can submit an expense report either through web or through a mobile app. He logged in using his credentials. So navigate to the expense icon on the Oracle screen. He creates an expense report for a business travel. He can choose to select an overriding approver. For now, it has been defined to be routed to a line manager, but in case the expense was being incurred to another cost center, he can choose the cost center head over here to be routed to the appropriate approver. He can choose the currency in which he would like to get paid. Oracle does support multi-currencies, expense reports, and payments. He can have multiple expense items. Say, for example, he would has an incurred travel airfare related expense of 400 euro. He has an ability to select an attachments as a supporting document. Oracle does support multiple file formats. He can enter a brief description of the expense he has incurred. The next expense item which he would like to get added to his expense report would be the per diem. Assume that he has traveled to one of the European countries where the expense policies suggest, based on the country's regulation, that he is eligible for 3 meals in a day, and for each meal he's eligible for 8 euros. So say his travel started at 7 a.m. in the morning, and he returned back on 26 around 8 a.m. in the morning. Effectively, he is eligible for 4 meals, and assuming 8 euro for each meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner on 25th, and breakfast on 26th, he is eligible for 32 euro as his per diem allowance. Now, assume there were certain deductions which he has to enter into his expense report. So he can add more details about those deductions. Say the accommodation in which he was staying was providing free breakfast. So he can select free breakfast for his 25th day and also on 26th. And only he is eligible for lunch and dinner as per diem. Now, assume that the expense related to his accommodation was incurred by the company itself. You can select expense over here, and system will automatically calculate 16 euro as his per diem allowance. Now, say another example could be he has chosen or opted to stay with his acquaintance at the location. So the expense related to the accommodation was not being incurred by the company at all. In that case, as per the country's regulations, say he's eligible for another 20 euros as his per diem. So system will automatically compute it. Now these amounts and definitions are just an example. These can be modified and predefined in such a way to meet the country specific requirement. With this, he has created an expense report for the per diem rates. Because this is related to per diem, he can select the receipt has been missing, and you can put a brief description. Receipt not required, as this is per diem. Now this expense report is ready for submission for approval. You can click on submit for 36 euro. And if you see, the status on this report is now pending approval and assigned to a manager. Approval rules can be again defined and configured. It can be hierarchical approval if it requires to get multiple approvals for a single expense report based on the management chain. It could be parallel approval if multiple cost center heads have to approve this. It can be defined based on the business requirement. Now, assuming that this being a demo environment, we have configured this as a auto approval for this expense report. Now, this expense report is now eligible for payment processing, being approved by the manager. Now, it will now be available for an auditor to audit this report. Again, audit policies can be predefined, and there can be rules defined to select these expense reports for auditing. And I'm logging in now as an auditor and would like to query the expense reports which was being submitted today. And I see my expense report here, 436. I would like to audit this expense report. I see that our attachment and there is a per diem. I would like to say serve. And this expense report is now eligible for payment. Now, I see this is authorized by HVFIN. And this is ready for payment processing. And now this report has to be pushed to payables module through a process which can be scheduled to run, or it can be manually run also, which would create an expense report invoice in Oracle. I would actually query one of the existing invoices here. So this is an expense report which was being created earlier. And this is a snapshot of the invoice. It also had an attachment. Now this expense invoice would get validated, accounted by the payables administrator, and then be set for payment processing, either through payment batch or through manual payment. Payment function in Oracle has a capability to generate checks or ACH or wire files based on the payment method attached to the employee. With that, I would like to conclude this session. Thank you.